Hey everyone, AJ Brown here. I did a session where I explained exactly how to cover selling a call option with another call option with a different strike price, different expiration date, or different both strike price and expiration date. I'm going to link that session down in the description. If you haven't heard it or watched it, please go do that now. But I want to do the same for put options. But before doing that, hey, I put a lot of time into these videos and audios. If you like what I'm doing here, you've heard my podcast, you've watched me on YouTube, seen me on my Facebook page or my Instagram account, can you do me a favor? Would you go ahead and please like this session and subscribe to it on the various platforms? Subscribe to the podcast, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Go ahead and follow the Facebook page and definitely follow me on Instagram. And sign up for the various notifications so when I put out new content, you are in the know. That would help me as well, kind of beat these various algorithms and get my content in front of more eyes where it can do the most good. With that said, let's review just what a put option is all about. Now, when I write or sell to open a put option, I'm creating one of these options. What does it mean? It means that I'm going to get paid a premium, which is the going price for that put option. And I'm going to get paid that premium to create it, to write it. And the person who is buying it from me, they're going to pay me the premium to buy this put option that I'm creating. Now, you see money going from their pocket into my pocket, but that money isn't for anything. They're going to get the right to sell to me their underlying asset, their underlying symbol, at the strike price we negotiated any time between now and when that option expires. That's for an American option. For a European option, of course, that can only be done at expiration. But for an American option, we can exercise that right anytime until the option contract expires. That's the right they get. And I'm going to take on that obligation for accepting that premium up front of buying that underlying symbol at the strike price if that person who bought the contract from me or who owns the contract at the moment comes a knocking. They come to exercise the contract. So they get a right, I get an obligation. All right, so if they come a knocking, if they come to exercise their put option, I'm going to have to pay them the strike price amount. They're going to get paid the strike price amount, and in return, they're going to give me their underlying asset, give me their underlying symbol, and I get their underlying symbol. Now, why would this person do this? Maybe if they expected the price to go down. If they expect the price of the underlying asset to go down, then they might buy this put option, and then if they hold on to it to close to expiration, they may decide to buy the underlying asset at that cheaper going price and then exercise this put option, forcing me to buy it at the higher price. That might be the idea. But the question is, on my side, what do I have to do if I'm under this obligation? If I'm under this obligation, I need to either somehow have the cash. That's called a cash covered put. And that could be a lot of cash that I need to have so that I could buy that strike price. What's nice about this compared to the call option is that it's already negotiated, the strike price. Whereas the call option, it's about the underlying symbol. And so in the case of the call option, I don't know how much cash I'll need because it depends on the going price of the call option of the underlying asset at the moment that the person exercises it. In this case, the amount of cash I need is the strike price. But still, that could be a lot of cash. Options are often leveraged. So what else could I do? Well, the other way to do this is to short the underlying symbol. Now that requires a margin account. That turns this whole transaction from being a cash transaction to one that's a margin transaction, because I have to go borrow the stock from my broker. I have to then short it or sell to open it, and then I'll get some cash. I have the cash now to cover the put, and if they come a knocking, I'll give them the cash, they'll give me the symbol, and I'll return the symbol to my broker. But that's a margin. So what else can I do? Well, how about this? What if I buy a put option to cover the one that I write? So let's go through the dynamics on that. So I'm going to, before I sell to open one, before I write my own, I'm going to go buy somebody else's. So I'm going to give them some cash, and they're going to give me the right to exercise them anytime between now and the expiration date at the strike price. That means I have the right to sell to them my underlying asset, and they have to give me that money. That's the obligation. They're obligated to buy my underlying symbol for the strike price. So now that I've got that contract in place, I can now come over here and sell a contract. Somebody will give me some money, and I'll take on the obligation and give them the right to sell me an underlying symbol. Now, what's neat about this is, depending on how I choose my strike prices and my expiration dates of these two different contracts, I can create a difference in price. And so I can make some money on what's called the spread. And we'll get into conversations on how to optimize that in future sessions. But I can create a spread where I make money up front. That's called a credit spread. I can create a debit spread where I spend a little more money than I make, but then make money on the back end. And of course, I can create these with similar strike prices. That would be called a horizontal or calendar spread. I could do it with similar expiration dates. That would be called a vertical spread. Or I can do it with different dates and different strike prices altogether. That would be called a diagonal spread. And we'll go into that again, like I said, in another session. But now let's talk about what happens if the buyer of my contract comes a knocking. So if they decide they want to exercise their put option with me, I will have to exercise mine. So if I get notice that I want to do the exercising, well, the first thing that's going to happen is this person I bought my put option from is going to buy my underlying asset. So they're going to give me some money. And then I'll be able to, because with that money, I'll be able to buy my buyer's asset, underlying symbol. Could be a stock, ETF, index, could be anything that's optionable. Then they're going to give me their underlying symbol, which of course I'm going to hand over to the person I purchased my put from. And again, there's going to be a difference between the strike prices, the amount that I have to pay, and the amount that the buyer I bought my put option from has to pay me. And so I can, again, make money on the back end, and I can make money on the front end. So there's a lot of opportunities here. And the best part about doing this is, because I'm the middleman, I make the spread. I don't have to have all that cash up front in order to cover this put option. And what's nice also about these is you can set these up with your broker so that if that buyer of your put option comes a knocking, well, then the broker will already know to go knocking on the buyer's door of the put option you purchased. And so again, these are called put spreads, and you can set these up. We'll go into details in future sessions about the different details. Slightly different than the call spreads, but then there's a lot of similarities as well. With that said, that's enough for today. Listen, like I said, if you like my content, if you're listening to a podcast session, or you're watching this on YouTube, or you've seen this on a video on the Facebook page you follow or the Instagram account you follow, please definitely take a moment and like it. That helps me enormously. Hit that like button across the board on all those different platforms. And if you haven't already, go to those various platforms and subscribe. Subscribe to my podcast. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Subscribe to the Facebook. That means follow me on Facebook. Follow my Instagram account. And sign up for notifications so that whenever I create content, you can totally be tuned into it. That not only will help you, that will help me because we'll beat the various algorithms and get my content in front of more faces. Stay tuned for more content in the future. I want to make this as valuable for you as it is for me. Thanks, everyone.